The wait is finally over. All 3 episodes of Dark Beginnings are out, and with Sonic X Shadow Generations just days away, I know we're all buzzing with excitement. So today, I'm taking a deep dive into Dark Beginnings, breaking down key moments, clearing up any confusion, and maybe even revealing a few Easter eggs you might have missed. Whether you're here for clarity or just for the ride, let's make this recap as epic as the series itself. Episode 1, Shadow and Maria, begins on the Space Colony arc 50 years ago. The way the scene is set up, we are led to think about the murder of Maria, as we see Shadow and Maria running through the arc. The scene acts as sort of an inverse to what was done with Maria's murder in Shadow the Hedgehog. We soon find out that she wants to share the beauty of the Northern Lights with him, as indicated by artwork made by Sonic Team and the history of the series. Looking at stars or just the Earth was something the two frequently did. Just as Shadow begins to relax, Maria suddenly collapses into his arms. Concerned, Shadow reminds her that the colony's low gravity is the only thing keeping her illness in check, and she shouldn't overexert herself. Maria, though, is captivated by the beauty of the Earth and dreams of returning one day, despite Shadow's uncertainty about his own place there. Shadow is frustrated that even as the ultimate life form, he's failed to cure her neuroimmune deficiency syndrome, or NIDS. But Maria, ever gentle, reassures him with a warm hug, reminding him that being together is what's most important. Suddenly an explosion occurs, causing the entire arc to shake as Amel breaks out of containment. Quick little sidebar, you might be wondering why he's even here in the first place. Well, created thousands of years ago, he's eventually discovered by Dr. Gerald Robotnik. Robotnik, as any scientist would, began conducting research on him in an attempt to subdue his destructive tendencies. In short, Gerald was trying to make Amel amicable. Although this is a decision he might come to regret, as we see now, Amel has broken his chains. Panicked, Maria begs Shadow to save her grandfather. Shadow seems to be a bit shaken by this future gun raid that he sees in a vision, but he promises to protect them both and races off to fight Amel. The two of them have this insane fight sequence that honestly I have no words for. The fight is crazy and just makes me wish we really had that Sonic anime or 2D cartoon. You know, I know we had X, but I need something better. But as the fight continues, Shadow strikes this powerful blow, which makes the whole room around him shatter. The timeline is thrown completely off as the gun raid is now happening before his eyes. The arc begins to tilt as Shadow falls through the glass and eventually ends in this dark room surrounded by weird writing, and we see Dr. Gerald Robotnik tied up. This weird writing is the cell in which Gerald Robotnik was contained on Prison Island, which we see Sonic in Sonic Adventure 2. The room turns into this never-ending hallway which Shadow continues to just run through, yet never reaching the Doctor himself. This causes Shadow to fall into this red vortex, this dark area where he sees this vision of Maria getting shot, and her final words echoing the word, "Remember." We see these hands reach out behind the dark red void and grab Shadow, which I believe are the hands of Doom. Gasping for air, Shadow awakens in the present day, clutching a yellow Chaos Emerald, the very same Chaos Emerald you get when you beat him in Sonic Generations. He fires a blast at a tree, realizing it was all a nightmare. But this wasn't just an ordinary dream. He wakes up and he sees this shattered moon. The shattered moon was due to the Eclipse Cannon and Sonic Adventure 2. Eggman's work still has this lasting impact. Determined to find answers, Shadow rushes off, leaving this trail of electricity that reminded me of what we see in the Sonic movies. This ends Episode 1, Shadow and Maria. Episode 2, Finding the Way, starts off again 50 years ago on the Space Colony arc. This time, we see Maria walking down a hallway when a boy named Abe, the future commander of Gun, rushes past her, yelling for her to keep that freak away from him. When she walks into the room, she sees Shadow standing there looking at a death leech in a container. Concerned, Maria asks if he's okay. Shadow, with a heavy heart, admits a truth that he finds hard to accept. He was created using the Black Arms DNA, the same DNA that runs through that disgusting, heartless creature in the container. Though he may look like a hedgehog, deep down, he feels no different from that monster. Maria responds with nothing but kindness, hugging him and reassuring him that what he feels isn't actually the truth. She reminds him of his heart, and that even though it's hard to show, she knows that he genuinely cares about her and the people around him. Maria continues to comfort Shadow, telling him that even though he might be searching for answers now, one day, and one day soon, he'll find them, and he'll discover more people that he can trust. Abe is watching all of this take place from the doorway. Fast forward 50 years into the future, or I guess the present, Shadow is tearing things up. He's taking down Eggman's samurai armored egg pawns at the hidden base with no problems at all. These egg pawns look similar to the ones found in Sonic Colors. We know the game takes place at the same time as Sonic Generations, so Dark Beginnings must take place around the same time as Sonic Colors, since the two games closely follow after each other in the Sonic timeline. Shadow, suspecting the return of the Black Arms, is laser focused on reaching a spacecraft that'll take him to the Ark. Rouge is with him, gathering intel for Gun, and E123 Omega is backing them up. After Team Dark takes down the massive Egg Breaker, Rouge tells him that she's got a ship ready for him, but he has to promise to show up at Sonic's birthday party. This is something he doesn't do, as indicated by the Generations cutscenes. The episode ends with Rouge playfully teasing Shadow, asking if he's interested in raiding a gun base. The final episode, To the Ark, kicks off with explosions as Team Dark infiltrates the gun base Rouge was talking about in the previous episode. Midway through preparing for the launch of the shuttle, Rouge reminds Shadow that Gun funded his creation, only to lock him away later. She doesn't want him to chase after any type of revenge. Shadow's response is simple. Gun isn't the enemy, just an obstacle in their way. A battle is then started with Blue Falcon, a boss from the Shadow the Hedgehog game. Blue Falcon begins firing at them, and Omega keeps it distracted while Shadow pulls off this really cool move where he just grabs the missile and then just slowly throws it right back at him. The soldier inside of the Blue Falcon dodges it and then launches a wave of homing missiles. With his quick movement and teleportation skills, Shadow's able to stay completely out of sight from the Blue Falcon. More homing missiles are fired at Shadow, which he's able to destroy in mid-air because he uses Chaos Control to freeze time and blow up all of them in one massive explosion. The sequencing in these fights is just absolutely phenomenal, let's just say that. Shadow lands on the Blue Falcon, causing it to crash, and he rips open the cockpit looking like he's going to knock out the soldier, but instead ejects the soldier to safety before his mech hits the ground. Once again reminding us that Gun isn't the enemy, just an obstacle in the way. After being successful, Shadow enters an elevator to the shuttle, and they're ready to launch. But the system flags the shuttle as an unauthorized takeoff, triggering Gun's defenses. Just as turrets and machine guns and all sorts of missiles prepare to fire, Commander Abe, or the grown-up kid we saw in episode 2, steps in and tells them all to stand down. In episode 2, we knew that Rouge was looking for intel for Gun, and we find out what exactly that intel is. She hands over information regarding the Time Eater to Commander Abe. Although Team Dark ended up costing Gun millions of dollars, Rouge reminds Commander Abe that this is the price you pay when you need to save the world. Abe admits that even though him and Shadow haven't had the greatest history together, he would have given Shadow the support he needed if he had just asked. This shows the complete 180 he's made since we saw him in the Ark in episode 2. Before, he was a kid who wanted nothing to do with Shadow, labeling him as a freak, and now he wants to support him. Rouge tells Abe that Shadow's not the type to ever ask for permission, and Abe agrees, noting that only one person ever had that influence on Shadow, a person that they lost years ago. As the shuttle begins to head towards the direction of the Ark, Shadow has a brief moment of reflection, imagining a future with Maria if things had gone, for the better. The dramatic scene is handled wonderfully as we see the anxiety build up in Shadow and the shrinking of his eyes as he's overwhelmed. That future was taken from him so long ago. His focus is now clear: eliminate the threat waiting for him aboard the Ark. The episode ends once again with a shot of the destroyed moon and the space colony Ark, Shadow's destination. And that wraps up our deep dive into the 3 episodes of Dark Beginnings. I hope you all enjoyed this series as much as I did. Seriously, these animated shorts hit the spot for me, I'm telling you. I've been craving a good 2D Sonic series for ages, and this was just flippin' perfect. I'm really looking forward to the next 2D animated Sonic content. I think it's going to be Chow Tales, an 8-episode series, so that's going to be really exciting. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment down below. I'd really also appreciate if you check me out on Twitter and Instagram. If you're into Sonic and memes, my Instagram is definitely the place to be. We are so close to 100,000 followers, and hitting that milestone by 2025 would be amazing. So without further ado, this is your boy Sonic signing out. I'll see you all in the next one. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?